You just spent $800 on a belt because of the logo. You saved for 2 months, skipped dinners, skipped a weekend trip. You stand in front of the mirror, adjusting it, turning slightly, checking the light. You walk into the party and feel the buckle like it should announce itself. Nobody looks. A man in a plain gray sweater is standing near the bar. You scan him and find nothing you can price. No label, no emblem. You look away without realizing you just dismissed the richest person in the room. Because your whole life, you were trained to see money only when it shouts. You just spent more than you have on something designed to make strangers believe you. $0, not your bank balance. The gap between what your life costs and what your check covers. You're in your bedroom at midnight with a box on the bed. A designer bag you cannot afford? $600 on a credit card with 28% interest? The minimum payment will arrive before you've worn it twice. You don't care about the rate. You care that tomorrow at the office, someone will see the logo. You place it on the chair near the door like a promise you made to yourself. You hold it in front of the mirror, you adjust the angle of the strap, you imagine the glance, the small nod, the silent confirmation that you belong. You walk into the office the next morning. Nobody looks at the bag, not one person. You sit at your desk and feel the strap still on your shoulder, heavy now in a way it wasn't at home. Your boss's boss walks past carrying a canvas tote with no name on it, worn soft at the handles. You don't register her. You don't know yet that the bag on your arm is a signal you're sending about yourself that the wealthy learned to stop sending decades ago. $50,000 a year. You lease a car you cannot afford. $700 a month. Your rent is $1,200. The salesman slides the papers across the desk and you sign before your brain can do the math. The car has a badge on the grill that people recognize. You drive it home and park it where your neighbors can see. The first week feels electric. You catch reflections of yourself in store windows and believe the image. Then you notice something. Every fourth car in the parking garage has the same badge. The valet doesn't look twice. The gas station attendant doesn't glance up. The thing you bought to stand out made you blend in. You are the same person, spending the same percentage of the same paycheck on the same signal everybody else is burning to send. You skip a dinner, then a weekend trip, then a doctor's appointment you told yourself wasn't urgent. The car doesn't notice you're skipping. The car just sits there, costing $700 a month. The math you ignored is now a line item that lives in your chest. And the only person who feels it is you. $250,000 a year. On paper, it sounds like a rival. You move to a neighborhood where everyone makes what you make, and suddenly you are the poorest person on the street. Every driveway has a car with a badge you recognize. Every wrist at the coffee shop has a watch you can price. The signals you spent years collecting are now the baseline, the minimum, the cost of entry. You look around and feel the floor drop. Nobody told you this part. The entire neighborhood is performing the same act. Everyone bought the same bag, leased the same car, wore the same logos. And every single person is stretched to the edge of their income to do it. You are not in a wealthy neighborhood. You are in a neighborhood of people who need you to believe they're wealthy. The fear you felt at $0, the fear of being seen as broke, is the same fear dressed in more expensive clothes. The number changed. The hunger didn't. Then one evening you see it. A man at a restaurant near your street. He is wearing a jacket with no label, no emblem, nothing you can name. His shoes are clean and simple and unbranded. No watch you can identify. The table next to him is loud with logos, gleaming and visible. And you notice the staff treats him differently, not with a performance, with quiet deference. He doesn't demand attention. He doesn't have to. He is not wearing his money. He stopped needing strangers to confirm what he already knows. You look down at your own bag, at your own wrist, at the car you parked outside. And for the first time, Every logo you bought feels like a confession. Every visible brand is a flag that says, I needed you to see this. I needed you to tell me I'm enough. The people who actually have money read that flag in under 3 seconds. They don't look away because they're judging you. They look away because they used to wear the same signals, and they remember exactly why they stopped. Visible wealth is not wealth. It is a billboard rented by the person who still needs the world's permission to feel valuable. The truly wealthy stopped needing that permission so long ago, they stopped wearing anything you can name. Something shifted, not in your bank account, in what you needed your clothes to say. $1 million. The first time the number feels real. Not a number on a screen, a number that changed how you walk through a store. You are standing in a shop downtown holding a sweater with no visible brand, no logo on the chest, no emblem on the sleeve, nothing anyone could identify from 6 feet away. It costs twice what the branded one next to it costs, and you buy it without hesitation. You do not check the tag twice. You do not calculate the cost per wear. You hand over the card and feel nothing that needs to be seen. The clerk folds it into tissue paper, and you walk out carrying a bag with no name on it, and realize the absence is the point. The branded belt you bought at $0 is in a drawer somewhere. You have not worn it in 2 years. You are not hiding it. You just stopped needing it. Something you mistook for taste was actually a request for permission, and you stopped needing permission when your bank account stopped asking for it. The logos did not fall off. You took them off, one by one, without ceremony. $5 million. Your closet is now full of clothes nobody can identify. Not expensive in the way you once understood, expensive. Expensive in the way that comes from materials and stitching and silence. You wear a jacket that costs $2,000, and not one person will ever know unless they touch the lining. Your car has no badge on the grill. The same car you once leased to be seen, you now own, and you choose the one that looks like nothing. Not because you are hiding, because you stopped needing a stranger to validate what you already know about yourself. You attend a dinner. The host is a man you have never seen in any photograph you remember. His jacket is unmarked. His home is warm and understated, full of things that cost more than your old car and look like they cost nothing. Nobody mentions work. Nobody mentions money. The conversation is about travel, books, a foundation. One of the guests launched quietly 2 years ago. Money is the table, not the subject. You realize you are in a room where everyone stopped performing the moment they stopped needing to. You once thought wealth was a signal you had to broadcast. You now understand that broadcast is the first thing wealth trains you to stop doing. $25 million. Stealth wealth. The phrase sounds like a strategy. It isn't. It is the natural endpoint of a single question you stopped asking without noticing. What will they think of me? At $0, the question consumed you. At $1 million, it quieted. At $5 million, it became irrelevant. At $25 million, you cannot remember the last time you asked it. You do not dress for strangers. You do not buy for the glance. You are not invisible. You are simply uninterested in performing, and that absence of performance is the most legible signal of actual wealth there is. Legible only to people who have also stopped. People who still wear logos broadcast the same old need. You read them now in the half second it takes to scan a room, not with judgment, with recognition. You were them. You know exactly how much it costs to look like you have money, and you know exactly how little it correlates with having it. The signal flipped. Quiet is louder than any brand. You did not become a different person. You just stopped paying to prove something that was never true, and the money stayed where you stopped spending it. The wealthiest person you know is someone you've never noticed. $100 million. Your neighbor drives a 12-year-old Toyota. The paint is fading on the hood in two patches shaped like continents. The seats are worn soft in the middle where a body has sat for a decade. You have walked past that car for 4 years and never once wondered about it. It looked like frugality. It looked like a person who didn't care. Then you see an article, not a headline, a small item in a local paper on a Tuesday. Your neighbor's foundation just funded 3 research labs at a university you've heard your whole life. The donation was anonymous until a reporter traced it back through a family trust and 3 holding companies. You read the article twice, once fast, once slow. The same man who waves at you while taking out the trash, who wears a jacket with no label, who drives a car worth less than your first month's salary at $0, just wrote a check that will outlive him. And it will outlive him anonymously by design, until some reporter dug. You realize you were not deceived. You were simply never trained to recognize wealth that doesn't announce itself. Your whole life, you were shown money as a performance. Nobody showed you money as silence. You start watching differently. The woman in the grocery store with the canvas bag and no makeup who pays in cash, and the cashier treats her like someone who owns the building, which she might. The man in the airport in a faded hoodie who boards first and sits in the front of the plane and nobody asks where he works because they already know not to ask. The couple at the museum who stare at a painting for 30 minutes unmoving and a guard leans over to tell you one of them donated it 10 years ago under a name that isn't theirs. These people are not hiding. They are simply not performing. You notice them now because you are no longer looking for logos. You are looking for ease, not the ease of the wealthy person relaxing. The ease of someone who stopped asking the question you are still asking with every purchase. Do I belong here? Ease is the signal logos replaced. Ease is what's left when the performance ends. And once you learn to see it, you cannot unsee it. The people who need you to know they have money never have the ease. They have the bag and the car and the watch, but their shoulders are tight. Their eyes scan the room for recognition. They are still asking. The truly wealthy stopped asking so long ago their bodies forgot the question. $500 million and above? You cannot see this tier. Not because you are not paying attention, because this tier structured itself out of your field of view on purpose. The wealth exists in entities, not objects. A family office on the 12th floor of a building with no name on the directory. An LLC behind an LLC behind a trust. Registered in a state where the trail goes cold unless you have a lawyer and 6 months of patience. A name that appears on no product you can buy and no building you can photograph, but controls percentages of companies whose products fill your kitchen and your phone and your medicine cabinet. You have walked past a building owned by this tier hundreds of times. The lobby is anonymous, the directory is blank, the elevator opens onto a floor with no sign. The ownership traces to a trust, then to another trust, then to a name that doesn't appear on the internet. Not because it was scrubbed, because it was never placed there. You were never supposed to see it. That is not an accident. That is the design. The entire structure exists to be unseeable by people who measure wealth in logos. The truly wealthy do not hide their money because they are ashamed of it. They hide it because being recognized as rich is, at this level, a liability. A business risk, a security concern, an interruption, a request for money that never stops once it starts. The same person who will one day fly a hospital board to their private residence is, in public, the person you dismiss in a gray sweater near the bar. You dismiss them because you were trained your whole life to see money only when it performs, to see it only when it shouts. And the real money trained itself out of shouting before you were born. It learned that silence protects, that anonymity is the ultimate luxury, that being unknown is worth more than being admired. You are standing in front of the mirror again. The belt, $800. You saved for 2 months. Skipped dinners, skipped a weekend trip you actually wanted to take. You stand there adjusting the buckle, turning slightly, checking the light. You walk into the party and feel it on your waist, like something that should announce you. Nobody looks, not once. A man in a plain gray sweater is standing near the bar with a glass of water. No label, no emblem, no watch, you can name. You scan him for 1 second and find nothing worth your attention. So you look away. You do not know you just dismissed the richest person in the room. You do not know the sweater cost more than your rent and was chosen precisely because you cannot know that. You don't know yet that the bag, the belt, the car, the logos were never status. They were a question you kept asking strangers over and over in every store you walked into. Am I enough? Tell me I'm enough. And the man in the gray sweater stopped asking that question so long ago, he forgot how to wear anything that answers it. The truly wealthy don't hide their money. They just stop needing you to see it.